What is up, you guys? Naesam here, and in this video I'm going to go over all of the Resto Druid PvP talents, kind of like I did with Ellie, but this time I can actually use them. And I'm going to talk about each one and how I feel it is going to compare against the other ones of its tier, and how I think it's going to do in like arenas and stuff. So let's get started. So the first talent, if you watched the Ellie video, you know what these are, but I'm going to go over them anyway in case you haven't. It's basically like trinkets. This one's like a regular trinket, 2-minute cooldown, removes all movement and parrying effects, and all effects which cause loss of control of your character while in PvP combat. It's just a trinket. All loss of control effects with a duration of 5 seconds or more will activate your Honorable Medallion spell, but only cause it to incur 6-second cooldown. I don't know why the word only is there. But whatever. I guess maybe because you already have that spell by default or something, I don't know. But it's basically just something that automatically trinkets things that last 5 seconds or more. Not really going to be something I can see people using very often, unless they're like new to the game and want to get used to other mechanics before having to worry about trinketing. Or unless there's a CC you always have to trinket the last more than 5 seconds. I don't know, I don't really see that being used very much. Relentless. Duration of incoming crowd control effects reduced by 25%. This could be useful in certain situations, but I'm not really sure what exactly right now. But yeah, that's the trinket tier. The next one, Defender of the Week. After healing a target below 50% health, you gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. I wonder if that has like an internal cooldown, or if it's just every time you heal someone below 50% health. Because that could actually be pretty good, especially versus things like Affliction Warlocks and stuff that keep you low a lot. It also kind of depends on the state of PvP and Legion, if it's super bursty or if it's like more of a slow game where people get low and you take a while to top them or whatever. So I can see that being pretty good. 20% haste is a lot. While you were at or above 80% health, your healing is increased by 20%. So this one I actually thought about for a little while. And it kind of depends like what comp you're playing and what comp you're playing against. Like for example, if you're playing with two like tanky DPS and you're playing against like a warrior and a death knight, you're probably not gonna get much use out of this because you're not gonna be above 80% health very much. But if you're playing with like an Ellie shaman and a mage or something, and you're playing against like caster cleave, there's a really, I don't think caster cleave is actually, I don't think that works, but there's a really good chance that you're gonna be above 80% health while your partner is not. So this could actually be good in certain situations. You just have to be able to properly predict what the enemy is going to do and what your team is going to do, I guess. In a renewal, casting effective heals on yourself will directly will refund 50% of the spell's mana cost. Well, that is interesting. And we'll have to see if that's good. It's going to be because we have mana issues. But these are really good, so I don't really see this being used that much. And if you notice, we have a little AFK circle now. It's kind of cool. Looks really untextured, but it's cool. Anyways, next here, Disentanglement. Healing Touch and Regrowth remove all snare effects from the target. This could be good if you're playing with like melee, pretty much. I don't really know where else that would be all that useful, because you can't really stop and cast Healing Touch or Regrowth to remove snares from like yourself. Because at that point you're probably just gonna die. Thorns. I'm sure a lot of you know what Thorns is. It used to be in the game a long time ago. Sprout Thorns, causing 90,000 nature damage to attackers when hit. Lasts 15 seconds. 45-second cooldown. I mean, that's 90,000 damage is actually a decent amount when our max health pool is like 15 million? Not million. I'm really bad at numbers. 1,500,000. So I mean, it's not like huge, but it's not bad either. And then while in bear form, your chance to be critically hit is reduced by an additional 10%. In addition, when hit by melee attacks while in bear form, you have a 10% chance to cast Rejuvenation on yourself free of cost. So this one could be really good. I'm also wondering if used with Germination, can it apply to Rejuvenations? Because that could be really, really good. And obviously, later on, I'll probably test these like actually in arenas and upload that as well, like I did with Ellie. I don't want to be like discriminating against the Resto Druid. Yeah, that could be really good. I feel like that might be better than both of these in most situations. And Cyclone, everyone knows what Cyclone is, right? It's basically a 6-second CC where they can't be healed or damaged. Only be on one target at a time. Yada yada yada. It only has a 20-yard range though, and there's no glyphs, as far as I know. I don't think they plan on adding many glyphs. So it's probably going to remain a 20-yard range, which is really short. But that's actually really good because one of the main things in PvP and Legion that I feel like is lacking is like risk versus reward playstyle. So you could go in and cast a Cyclone, but you have to get really close to the enemy team. So it's definitely a risk versus reward playstyle, and I'm actually glad that they're adding some things like that. Encroaching Vines. When your entangling root is removed, dispelled, or ends, the target's physical damage is reduced by 25%. So for one thing, it's only physical damage, but you don't really root ranged all that often, other than for like LOS. And physical damage also applies to hunters. Most specs of hunter, I think. I don't know, I haven't tested hunter that much, but yeah. I mean, it's not bad, but only 4 seconds, and you don't really root that often. You could be good for like stopping a burst, but you have to stop and fully... The fuck? How did he die? You have to stop and fully cast the roots. So I don't know if that's going to be that useful. In Deep Roots, damage no longer cancels your entangling roots. So that one, it could be like incredibly good. Because what else? Like they have to dispel it? But if you're against like double DPS or something, they can't get out of it. You just sit there and root them and kill them from range. That's going to be absolutely insane with certain comps in like 2s and stuff. So then Nourish. If you played Rest of Druid back in like MOP, I think it was, you probably think of Nourish as being that like really weak spell that you cast like keep your mastery up. But nope, it reduces the cast time of Healing Touch by 0.5 seconds and automatically applies Rejuvenation. And since it's a passive, I'm assuming when it says automatically applies Rejuvenation, it's referring to Healing Touch automatically applying Rejuvenation. Actually, we can test that. But like 0.5 seconds is not that much when the cast time is really long. Okay, it did not automatically apply Rejuvenation. Maybe that's just a bug or something. But even without it, the cast time is 2.27 seconds. Maybe it's just bug because it says it still is 2.27 seconds. Yeah, I think it's just not working, but like, I mean, I don't really see that being that useful, honestly. Revitalize. When targets with your rejuvenation are hit by a melee critical attack, they are healed for 43,000, and the duration of your rejuvenation will be refreshed. So like, when you think about this, it sounds really insane, but in Legion, 43,000 is not very much. And that's only critical attacks, and it doesn't say if it has like an internal cooldown. I'm assuming it wouldn't. But I feel like the best part of this is the rejuvenation duration being being refreshed. Because that's actually very helpful. So yeah. It's not as good as it looks, but it's also still pretty good. Fortified Bark. Targets with your Iron Bark take an 25% reduced chance to be critically hit. They have some grammar issues in these, but it's fine. So that is basically, I think it's like a set bonus, or maybe it's just the glyph or Iron Bark or Bark Skin that I'm thinking of, but I mean that's pretty good. But it's only Bark Skin or Iron Bark. I keep reading the wrong one. This is only for Iron Bark, which is the one you use on other people, 1.5 minute cooldown. So it could be useful. I mean, these other ones aren't amazing. So it's gonna depend on what you're playing against. Like a Burst Cleave, you go with this regular, you go with this. In this, I don't really see that ever being useful. Focus Growth. Your Life Bloom also applies Focus Growth to the target, increasing Life Bloom's healing by 15%. Stacks up to 3 times. Okay, I'm trying to test these out of PvP combat, and I just realized why it's not working. Because they only work in PvP. That's really annoying to test stuff. So this would probably actually decrease it by, that would be like what, like 1.8 seconds? 1.7? And this, I want to know if it's every time you cast Life Bloom, or if it's like Life Bloom ticks. But healing by 15% stacks up to 3 times. That's what, 45%? Depends how much Life Bloom heals for. How much does it heal for? Oh, that is like nothing. 6k. 45% of 6k. Or added to 6k is like 9k? Total? It's not very much. Early Spring Wild Growth is now an instant cast. that could be really good in RBGs. That's kind of it. Well, because Wild Growth takes a ton of mana. I don't really see it being something you use very often in arenas, even if it is instant cast. Overgrowth instantly applies Regrowth, Life Bloom, Rejuvenation, and Wild Growth to the target. So my first thoughts on seeing this is that it's really not amazing, because half the time you're already going to have most of those hots unless someone is spamming Purge, and they would probably just purge them afterwards anyway. I would really like to see this talent become something along the lines of like Genesis or Nature Swiftness, so we can have some burst healing back. Because right now we don't have very much burst healing at all. And this isn't really helping. Unless like you use this with Essence of Ganir, because that makes it tick way faster. And you have all the hots on there. I also wonder, does this apply both rejuvenations? Probably not. And that would make it even worse. So I feel like they should rework this talent, make it more like a burst healing thing and not just like put a whole bunch of hots on the target. Because most of the time you're already gonna have 2 rejuvenations up, or at least 1. And Regrowth dot hot does not really hit that much. 2k, that is nothing. Life Bloom, I already saw, doesn't heal for very much. What does Regrowth, or Wild Growth heal for? Yeah, it slowly goes down. I think that was like an artifact thing, but yeah, the other hots other than Rejuvenation don't do anything. So I feel like Overgrowth is not going to be that good. So I think these talents for the last talent tree are like really, really underwhelming. And honestly, the best one right now, even for arenas, might be Early Spring. Especially if this one requires individual Life Bloom casts to make it work. Because that's 3 globals for like 3k extra healing. It's not gonna be amazing. So yeah, those are the PvP talents. So as like a quick overview, for PvP it's gonna be very similar playstyle to WoD, where you just kind of jump around, spamming your hots and Swiftmen and stuff. Keep all your hots up. It's basically the same, except you don't have any burst healing, except for your new artifact weapon and like tree form if you talent into that. And honestly, Swiftmen being a super long cooldown Soul to Force is probably not going to be very good. So I'm not very happy with it, honestly. Like, I like to stay positive, but now that they're saying that mechanical changes and stuff are going out the window, and for the most part they're going to be sticking with like just tuning damage and stuff now, even though so many specs are very unhappy with how it is, it's kind of like insulting that they're already saying they're moving on when everyone's still complaining. But that is a topic for another video. So yeah, I'm very unhappy with it. It feels like I'm gonna feel pretty useless if the enemy's bursting. Like, what can I really do? Except for like, you pop tree form, but burst cooldowns, they aren't always 3 minutes. And if it's like WoD, where you don't always need cooldowns to get a healer cooldown, and you know, it's like we have cooldowns and stuff, but like our throughput healing that isn't just hots is going to be really bad. So if the enemy team is purging a lot, I feel like we're just kind of fucked. And I'm not very happy about that gameplay style. So we'll see what they do. Like, they could fix it so easily just by making Overgrowth slightly different. And by slightly, I mean like a lot different. Make it more like a single big heal instead of putting a bunch of hots up. Making Swiftmen a shorter cooldown, because 30 seconds just feels terrible. Like, from a PvP and a PvE standpoint, it just feels awful. And honestly, that would be like, I'd be happy with that. I'd miss Genesis, but honestly Genesis is pretty overpowered. It can be purged, but like, it was pretty overpowered. You could sit there and heal yourself to full every couple seconds just by putting 2 rejuvenations up and then hitting Genesis. And you could do that while moving without casting anything. It was pretty dumb. But I would just like Overgrowth to be like Nature Swiftness or something. In that Swiftmend is a lower cooldown, and I would be happy with how it is. It would be really similar to WoD, but that's fine. Like, Blizzard needs to understand that they don't need to rework every single spec super hard, every single expansion. Sometimes it's okay where it is. It just needs a few tweaks. So that's my thoughts on Druid PvP. I'm gonna try and upload like arena gameplay at some point, but the queues are super long, so I have no idea when that's going to come out. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more, like the video if you liked it, comment what you want to see or any comments that you have about the video. And I'll see you guys next time.